Money, money, marketing, watching women doing manly things. So I just recently watched the Chris Stuckman review on Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. To his credit, he didn't give any spoilers away. The spoiler review is coming soon. He did make a comment about people who haven't seen the movie, essentially talking about Phoebe Waller-Bridge. And I mean, like, I get it, and I've said many times before, I don't want to be jaded about things, but he also did say that he had one really big issue with the film that happens in the third act, and he can't talk about it because, again, he wants to save it for the spoiler video. I pretty much said, like, I'm gonna wait for your spoiler review, dude, because I want to know what this third act hiccup is. Now, for those of you who don't want to know about the ending to this movie, I would tune out now. I was just watching a video, Critical Drinker After Hours, and it was him talking with a critic from Film Threat who had seen the movie. Basically, all of the internet buzz that you've heard is true. At the end, Indiana Jones doesn't want to go back because he feels like there's nothing left for him, and essentially Phoebe Waller-Bridge punches him, knocks him out, and brings him back to the present. So they make Indiana Jones a wet rag, and they make her, like, essentially the hero of the story. I've also heard that her character is just freaking obnoxious the entire time, just like with her commentary and her contentious, like, relationship with Indiana Jones. It's like a mosquito buzzing in your ear. Now, again, I haven't seen the movie, all right? But I consider Drinker After Hours, I consider somebody from Film Threat giving this information away to be a pretty freaking reliable source, and I'd been hearing this for a while. What's that guy, Doom Clock or whatever, has been talking about that this is going to be the ending. Also, not for nothing, but this is the Kathleen Kennedy MO. She's already ruined every other Lucasfilm franchise that's come her way in less than a decade. I mean, this is truly amazing. If you think about it, all right, Star Wars used to be a cultural phenomenon. It used to be something that people would flock to the theaters to see. If you didn't have an advance ticket, you would have to wait at least a week. There were people camped in literal tents clamoring for these films, okay? Again, cultural phenomenon. It went from a cultural phenomenon to an annoyance. If they announced a new Star Wars show right now, most people, myself included, would be like, who the fuck cares? It takes talent to go from a cultural phenomenon to an annoyance. Correction, effort, not talent. It's funny because the premiere, which Spielberg and George Lucas attended, Spielberg took a very blatant dig at Kathleen Kennedy, saying, and I'd like to thank three people who've been with this from the beginning: George Lucas, the creator of it all, Harrison Ford, and John Williams. I mean, that was just the perfect middle finger to Kathleen Kennedy. This whole thing comes off as very, very spiteful, like an FU towards male characters, but it's really not doing feminism any favors either. Because, as I've said, and I've said this for a while now, it doesn't take a strong-willed woman to ride on the coattails of what men have already paved the way for. If Indiana Jones is a fucking colonizer, if he steals from indigenous people or something like that, if he's a relic from the past, then you know what? Let him be a relic from the past. Let it die. Let it have its time and move on. You don't have to rewrite it. I don't know why you'd want to rewrite it if he's such a colonizer and such a horrible person. It just doesn't make any sense. Who's this movie made for? Like, are the feminists going out to see Indiana Jones? I mean, I doubt it. Disney, of late, has just been suffering one bomb after another, after another, after another, and that's good. Something similar happened in the 70s. There were a lot of darker, grittier films, like, you know, your Travis Bickle, your Death Wish, all that kind of stuff. And I mean, not for nothing, at least those movies were good, but people got kind of sick of that whole, like, nihilistic thing, and like, we just want to be entertained again. We just want to go out to the movies and see an excursion. We don't need some sort of like a dark, dreary, depressing, downtrodden societal collapse movie. We just want to go out and be entertained again. And then the 80s happened. My hope is that that's kind of where we're at right now. It sure seems to be. Yesterday I watched Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which is my personal favorite Indiana Jones movie. Respect to anybody whose favorite is Raiders. My best friend and my dad, Raiders was their favorite. It's just a personal preference. Anyways, I think most people would agree. Marcus, Sala, Henry Jones and Indiana Jones riding off into the sunset was the perfect end to the trilogy. It is a trilogy, it serves as a trilogy, and when I watch the end to that movie, that is where Indiana Jones ends to me. And that's the beauty about fiction, is that it's like a choose your own adventure. If there's an entry that you don't like, if the franchise continues after a certain point and it's just dumb or obnoxious or whatever, as far as you're concerned, it doesn't exist. So I'm going to do what I consider to be my part as far as this new Indiana Jones film goes, and I'm not going to see it. At least not in theaters. I would recommend that you do the same. Don't go to see it. I'm certainly not going to tell you to rip it anywhere because that would be illegal. I'm also not going to tell you to buy a ticket for another better movie that's playing at the same time and just walk in to see Indiana Jones. I've never done anything like that when I was in high school and trying to get in to see an R-rated movie because that would be illegal. But yeah, I would avoid this one, guys. But you do you. And that's all she wrote.